Testing 1 2 testing.
Check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Excited to go.
And we're good. Yep.
All right, let's do this.
All right. Try not to tip my water over on top of all my expensive computer stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Humble brag. All right.
Look at all my nice things here.
Can't give him crap.
Welcome. Thank you for tapping into some Untapped Keg, our podcast about sobriety and mental health, where we spotlight stories that provide hope and love. Subscribe on all podcast platforms, any podcast service that you want to listen to. Leave us a 5-star review so other people have an easier time finding us. Let us know how we're doing in the comments below. You can find us on all social media platforms at Untapped Keg. And we're on YouTube, youtube.com/untappedkeg. Look us up, subscribe, hit that bell so you know when we go live. Join the conversation and leave us a comment. Ask us a question that you'd like to hear, and you can be part of the show. Right now, you can comment, and we can bring it into what you're listening in those ear holes. I am one of your hosts, RJ Zimmerman. I'm here with my good friend, Monte Ball. How you doing, big guy?
I'm good, man. I'm hot. I'm hot right now. I don't know why I'm wearing a beanie when it's 85 degrees outside here and in Virginia, but I'm doing well. Excited for our guest. Before we get to the great Jack, RJ, how you doing, man?
I'm pretty content. There was a little bit where I was kind of stressed out, but I don't know, the past day and a half or so, I've been able to kind of find this content level that has been very nice. So I'm excited, though. I'm excited to introduce our guest. So a little bit of background. Learned about Jack from our good friend Big Kev over at Laugh for a Purpose podcast, and check that podcast out if you don't know. He focuses on mental health. I've been a guest over there a few times. Mons has been a guest, and he's just an overall amazing human being. Let him know how much good he's putting into the world. But he hit me up about this amazing person he was having on his podcast, and I think that that's the best way to describe kind of our interactions as well. Jack Benjamin, former recovering meth user, 6 years sober. He is an advocate on Twitter. Very positive, very funny human being. He brings humor into great situations. And Jack, how you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's always good, man. Always good. It's such a blessing, obviously, for us to have people like yourself jump on. And as you can see right now, my nephews are in the picture, his children. But Jack, man, again, thank you for joining us. And again, the way that we go about our show, man, it just goes wherever it goes, right? We obviously have a few questions that we're going to make sure we ask you throughout this, but this is your show. This is your platform. This is your time to provide us with who you are. What encouraged you, inspired you to get on the path that you're on right now. And obviously the hopes are for our listeners to just take a few nuggets from you. So Jack, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing really good.
Good. Awesome, man. Awesome. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. So obviously, as what RJ already stated, it sounds like, your drug of choice was meth. And please, just share with us, Jack, how that journey, was for you.
All right. So I guess I'll take it way back to when I was a kid, when I first tried it. First of all, my first love wasn't meth, it was alcohol. And when I was in middle school, I had gotten drunk. And the first time that I ever got drunk, I felt such a change happen. Like, how do I describe it? Like, I felt like my eyes were opened in a way. I'm very like, I'm a nervous person. Like, I don't like talking in front of people. I'm social, but at the same time, I get like a lot of anxiety in front of people. And when I first got drunk, especially being a kid too, it took that all away, you know. And I felt comfortable with myself. And so with that being said, after the first time getting drunk, there was rarely a day after that I breathed really a sober breath. And if I wasn't drunk or high, I was thinking about how to get drunk or high. And the obsession started, right? I became obsessed with changing the way I felt. I tried a lot of other stuff, you know, smoking weed and popping pills. And when I got to high school, we were at lunch one time and some dude busted out some lines and told me it was cocaine. He's like, "You want to do a line of coke?" And I'm like, dude, at that time I was ready to try anything. You know, I love getting fucked up. And I remember I was having problems in school too. So like I was really, and especially in math, like they were trying to teach me how to do algebra and I just wasn't getting it. I didn't want to get it. But I did that first line, what I thought was coke, and later I found out it was crystal meth. And when that happened, it's like a light turned on, and it was like, okay, it was really like giving a kid with ADHD Ritalin. You know, I became hyper focused.
I was gonna ask you that. Like, do you have or think you have ADHD? Like, do you show, you know, some signs of it?
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, me too.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean necessarily that I need to be on some Ritalin. That'd probably be bad for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And even the chemicals are so similar. You know, amphetamine and methamphetamine. It's insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it was at lunch at school. I did the line and found out it was crystal meth, and I'm fucking just flying high. I feel all good, and I go back to class, my math class, and all of a sudden everything clicked. Like I was just like, I could solve for X. Like,
all of a sudden you're the star student. All the smart kids are looking at you like, what is he? How is this possible? I am not stupid.
Yeah. I came into class like Superman. I was like, yeah. But I mean, that's the thing with drugs and alcohol is, you guys already know, there's a reason why people do it. It's fun at first. At first, it works out. You know. And the other thing that really helped, or I thought it did, is when I was a kid, I worked. My parents had a small business where they would set up trade shows and events and stuff. And, you know, I would get some meth and I wouldn't be tired, right? I'd be able to work. And so I used it to get stuff done. And I had a lot of good work ethic from working for my parents. And as I'm developing this progressive illness of the disease, where I'm becoming more dependent on the drug and for the things that I'm doing, you know, work and school and everything, it just became like hand in hand type thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make perfect sense.
Yeah.
right? It makes everything so easy with it. And that's the thing too, is working from a young age, being prideful and having the work ethic and leaving when I was 18 and grabbing a job on my own real fast and moving up in a company, doing all these things. And while I'm maintaining this drug habit, I didn't really think I had a problem. Because I made my own money, and throughout there, people would intervene and they'd tell me I'd have a problem. I'd be like, no, I have a job, I work. What do you mean I have a problem?
Yeah, completely. I mean, I don't mean to butt in here, but that sounds a lot like Mont's, because he has a very similar, story about his as well.
Yeah, you start thinking, okay, I'm functional,
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem? And you hear this word of progressive illness, and I can't say it enough. It's a progressive illness, addiction, alcoholism.
Yeah,
because the longer shit happens, the worse it gets. So I would be at parties and I'd be doing dope with a bunch of dope fiends, and I'm off work and I would brag about my job and I got this, I got that, I got shit going for me, right? And I would always tell everybody that, like, as long as I have my own money coming in, I'm going to keep partying and doing what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And through the progressive illness, it came to a lot of times where I'd be up for a week, I'd be up for 2 weeks, and I'd hit a wall. Bam. I'd fall off and no one would hear from me in like 24 hours. There's only so many times that you could not even call in sick. No one's heard from you.
Yeah.
I remember fucking waking up and just being like, what the fuck happened? It's like, what the hell? And you see what day it is and what time it is. And you got like 12 missed calls from your boss. And you're like, how do you explain that?
Yeah.
And there's only so many other, so many times before, a company's going to let you go. And that's what happened. So I found myself going back on what I said. I would always say, oh, if I ever lost my job, I would just quit. It's easy as that. And so I lost the job, and my drinking and my using increased somehow.
Right.
It's amazing how resourceful we can be, right? Like, that's when we really find out how much of a problem it is.
Right.
It's like my work just got in the way of my using career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Jack, before thank you for sharing. Before we get any further in this, I want to learn more about why what encouraged you outside of peer pressure. What do you believe was your reasoning behind experimenting? What do you feel as if you were lacking in that moment that you thought that line of what you thought it to believe cocaine would have given you?
It definitely was seeing everybody else have fun and wanting to be a part of, wanting to be included.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That social longing, like, I would love if those people liked me, and you feel like they don't, but you really don't have any idea. And then as you are partaking in the bad influences, those people all of a sudden start to show an interest in you.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the same for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a trip because now you think about it and you're like, I don't want to be around any of those people.
And you know, at the
I mean-
time, you're like, you know, if only those people would talk to me, like my life would be so much easier. Like, you know, schoolwork would be easier. My social, you know, everything after school would be easier. Like all of this stuff.
Yeah. Should I keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this we'll just be jumping in and asking questions. I just wanted to learn more about like what got you on this. So yeah, please continue.
So after I lost my job and I was a professional tweaker, I had moved back in with my parents and working for them kind of again, you know, but more of just living with them, being a bum. And I started misusing their trust. I was stealing from them. I was breaking into their warehouse at night and throwing fucking parties, and I was being a piece of shit to my family, straight up. Mm-hmm. And they caught on to that, and they're just like, what? And also throughout this, they'd known that I had struggled with the meth off and on, but in their eyes, I was able to hide it before that. You know, like, oh no, I don't do that stuff anymore. But you know, they weren't really hip to it though, because they didn't really do that shit. You know, so I was able to trick them for so long. But yeah, the party ended. They got tired of my shit, and they had to make the whole. I can't imagine having to do this, but they had to make a horrible decision to boot me out. Mm-hmm. And I do know that today, that that's the best thing that they could do for me, is kick me out the fucking house. Right?
Yeah.
And so next thing you know, I'm homeless. And I'm messing around with this girl, and we would hustle and do things here and there. I experienced all the stages of homelessness. Like I was hotel homeless. Like that ain't that bad. Having a room and a shower. And as I started using the meth more, I lost my hustle. I lost the ability to do grimy shit even. And next thing you know, I'm living in the car homeless. And then next thing you know, I'm on the street homeless. I got nothing. And yeah, because if someone says they're homeless, like, okay, what level of homelessness is it at? You know, I've experienced all three. It became to a point where my only hustle and making money was holding a sign in the middle of the intersection. And that shit killed me. And the reason why it killed me is I worked all my life, you know, and now I'm just sitting in the middle of the street waiting for people that are on their way to work to hand me money so I can get loaded. I just had no confidence. You know, I felt ashamed.
Yeah.
And you know, meth in the first place fucks with your mind and it makes you crazy. But the combination of being on the street and having that meth psychosis it's intense. Mm-hmm. I thought the FBI was after me, yelling at bushes and shit, like crazy fucking shit. But while I was holding a sign, I also experienced the extreme kindness from strangers. There's people, I mean, I'm not talking about people giving me money and food and stuff. I'm talking about the people that would stop and would tell me, hey man, I know exactly what you're doing because I used to do it too. You know, here's some other options. There's SLEs, there's rehabs, there's places that you could go that will help you get off your feet. And I remember this one time, this dude, he rolled down the window and he's like, hey man, you hungry? And I'm like, yeah. And he points across the street and he goes, meet me at that sandwich shop right there. I was like, okay, this is kind of fucking weird. Like, let's take me out on a date. Like, what's going on here? And so I go across the street, and I'm not gonna say no to a sandwich. Like, yeah. I'm trying to get it back, but say no to a sandwich. They go over there, and then it gets more weird. Like, the guy's like staying there, and he wants to eat with me, and I'm like, I feel really uncomfortable. What the hell's going on? And so, but then he starts telling me, like, look, man, he's like, I run an SLE, sober living environment. I used to do the same exact shit you're doing. He starts telling me about, recovery and all these things. And what he did was he kind of floored me, because he took the time out of his day to try to help me. Right. And I'm not going to say, like, right after that day I got my shit together, and I didn't. I went out for probably another 6 months after that, but he planted a seed, and it was a big step into me reaching out for help and doing something other than what I was doing. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah. I think that's one of the myths about sobriety that we need to break through, right? Like, the aha moment, the moment that, we're done. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's not this one moment and it's a change. It's the seed. You said it exactly right. It's that seed that gets planted, and that seed gets planted in different ways. And then eventually, that seed grows and we start to act on it. But in the moment, you don't realize that the seed is planted. And that's what I think, something that needs to be more public and talked about is the fact that there's no snap of the fingers, your fairy grandmother's there moment. It's time, it's steps, it's little things. So I'm really glad that you said that.
Right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. One thing also, Jack, that RJ touched on a little bit there at the beginning when you shared that things were still going well for you, and he mentioned that I have something similar. I mean, I played the game of football, and hindsight, I always wish that there were more signs, more red flags that I would have noticed to tell me, hey, this alcohol path is not going to end well for you. Because I kept excelling on the football field, so nothing was telling me to really stop. And my question to you is, isn't it, I guess it's a rhetorical question in a sense, but isn't it almost, it's so weird how the drug that you're using, how it impacts your brain, how it disguises what it's truly doing to your life, your relationships while you're currently using it. And how it makes it appear as if everything is going fine. That is something that I've really just been honing in on throughout my recovery, is just why that is. And so I'm glad that you shared that part, Jack. I really am.
I'm glad you said that too, because for so long, even as I know I'm losing stuff, right? I'm losing the job, I'm losing my parents' trust. It's not me, it's fucking everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
That is how it feels.
And that's the insanity. That's the insanity of the disease.
Yeah.
It fucking tricks us.
I mean,
no, you're right.
It puts the blinders on us, right? It brings our periphery into right here, so you can't see around. So, like, that fog, that haze that it puts on our brain it's real. And then because everything's so hazy, all we can see is the part that's clear, which is a very small circle compared to everything else. Right. But that's the only thing we can see. That's the only thing we can think about. So that's something that that seed kind of does, is it, starts to clear things up a little bit as it's growing. So that's a very good way to put that.
So you get into this SLE program, and then what, Jack? Then what?
No, not exactly. So the man had told me about SLEs and rehabs and stuff, right?
Okay.
I was still even though I heard what he was saying, I wasn't ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still out in the streets for another 6 months before I fucking just finally caved, and gave in. Right, I surrendered. After all the nights of sleeping in the cold and the rain and just I had nowhere else to go. You know, I didn't really have a choice. You know, like I said, I was talking to myself, fucking just out of my fucking head. Mm-hmm. So I didn't go to an SLE. What I did is I jumped into an inpatient rehab.
All right.
Hardcore, 6 months. You're around 80 other dudes all day. And, you know, I went in, I literally dragged myself in there, and the intake coordinator was trying to tell me about the program, and it's like, yeah, you got to pass a UA, you know, you got to pee in a bottle and you got to be clean before you come in here. And I told him, I'm like, well, I just used yesterday. He's like, all right, Jack. He's like, this is what I need you to do. And he gave me the directions to this nearby detox center. And I'm sure you guys know too, like when you do make that decision, okay, I'm gonna get better or I want help, there's that battle going on in your brain. Oh, I could get loaded one more time, one last hurrah. And I think this dude saw the wheels spinning because he was an addict himself, so he probably knew what I was thinking. But he told me, he's all, Jack, he's like, just go straight there and come straight back. Mm. And I was already trying to tell him, I'm like, oh, you want me to come back on Friday? I'm like, can't I come back on Monday?
Right.
And so, dude, I know it sounds corny, but I felt like I was on autopilot. Like I seriously, like I was battling in my head, like I want to do one last hurrah, but I went there and I came back. And I honestly think there was a higher power that was just helping me fucking cope, because I can't explain what the fuck it is. It wasn't me doing that. Mm. And I know that sounds corny, but that's the only way I could describe what happened, because I went there as much as I was battling with myself, and I came right back to the rehab after I was cleaned up a bit. When my first impression of being in a place of recovery, a rehab, that shit floored me, because all of a sudden I'm around all these people that don't want anything from me. They just want me to get better. And I wasn't used to that. Like coming from the streets where everybody, you know, wants something from you, mm-hmm. You know, want, you know, part of your hustle, or they want your bag, or this, or that. They want to use you for something. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, they talk about that in recovery a lot, is the altruistic movement, you know, doing something for someone and not expecting anything in return. And before I had worked a program and learned how to recover and learned how to fight my triggers, that's what kept me here in the beginning. If that makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah.
No, it really does.
Because, I mean, you hear that a lot with a lot of sobriety, you know, no matter what it is. Like, when and this is our society as a whole, right? We're individualistic, but like a lot of people, even if you're not in the, you know, the substance use world, like a lot of people want something from you. So all of a sudden you meet people who want nothing but like the best for everybody else, because that's also what they want for themselves. The only way they can get that also is by hoping the best for everybody else. Like, that seems, it's fake, right? It seems fake. It seems like something's wrong. Like they're about to throw you in an oven and eat you. Like, but I mean, that's kind of like the fear that starts to kick in a little bit. So, you know, like being just tossed into that, you start to fight yourself that this isn't real. This can't be. Like, no.
Absolutely.
So Jack, so I want to, after this, you said 6 months, right? You were in this IOP for 6 months.
Yeah. Yes.
Very intense, right? Very intense. How many hours a day would you say it was?
So I lived there. Like, you live there, you're bunked with 5 other dudes in a room, and you would actually go to work, and you would it's a Salvation Army. You help out in the warehouse, and they called it work therapy. And since I didn't have any money, what it is you kind of work for your program. You work for your day there. And it's an amazing concept. It keeps you busy. You work during the day. Afterwards, you're doing hardcore classes like anger management and all kinds of other things. They incorporate a 12-step program, which I won't really talk about in respect to AA, but that's what got me better, is getting into the rooms of AA and working the 12 steps in there. So yeah, it's kind of like it was pretty much 24/7 in there.
Okay.
And if that makes sense too.
No, it does. That my question was more so about how many hours were you kind of touched on it there, the classes, right? After you worked and the anger management classes or all the other jazz that you did. So you did that for 6 months straight.
Right.
That is intense. And then what, Jack? And then what?
So I got close to my graduation. And also, by the way, as soon as my family had seen that I'm in a program and is doing better, they welcomed me back with loving arms. And I was so blessed for that, to have that support. But yeah, I get close to graduating, and I'm at a meeting, and I see somebody with a work shirt from the company I told you about that I worked for before.
Yep.
And I kind of made a joke. I was like, yeah, I used to work for them. I kind of, meth kind of took that away from me. Ha ha ha. And he comes back a day later with an application. He's like, yeah, they remember you. And they said, if you got your shit together, you got your job back.
Oh, wow.
What the fuck?
I mean, that goes to how much of a worker that you kind of described, like that you left that big of an impression. That's amazing.
Right? Like, what the fuck? You telling me I was fucking homeless rats for fucking years, and all of a sudden I get my shit together and got my job back.
Wow.
And also, so with that being said, is now that I'm graduating this program at that point and I got a cool job, that's a dangerous situation. I am leaving a safety bubble, and now I have money in my pocket. So I decided to do the extended stay, which was going into an SLE, a sober living environment, because I was not ready to have a paycheck and be on my own. If I were to have just gone off on my own, I probably wouldn't be here today. Straight up.
Okay. And I think that's important that you being honest with yourself, right? And it's safe to assume that's something that you learned while in the IOP, correct? Just being honest, being real, understanding where you are in your life, and you were capable of utilizing those tools once you got out. And long story short, I commend you for that, man, because not a lot of people can do that. Not a lot of people at all can be honest.
Especially, I mean, that's soon too, right? You're only
Right.
6 months, and you're already being that honest with yourself that that's what you need. And I think a lot of, like, for me, like the hubris and pride, that still plays a lot of factors in my decision making. So, like, yeah, absolutely commend you for that. That's incredible.
I will, like I said, I'm not going to talk about the program specifically, but I will say this is I went into there and I wasn't right with myself. I wasn't right with the rest of the world, and I wasn't right with my higher power. And today I am right with all those things. I feel right with the world. I feel right with myself. I feel right with something bigger than myself.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say that the disease of addiction, it's not this or that. It's not just black and white. It's a spectrum. It is a full spectrum, and it is confusing. It is not simple.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that I've done and do that will not work for someone else. And I think more people need to understand that.
I agree.
Just because you do this and this works for you, that doesn't, you know, we're like snowflakes. We're all
I like that.
There's different levels of it. You know what I mean? Like,
so Jack, so what I've learned is that the day you got clean, was that the day that you hopped into IOP, April 2nd, 2016?
April 2nd, 2016 was my first day after being clear of all drugs and alcohol for 24 hours. So it was about a couple days before I went into the rehab itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's I love that. That's an important day for me as well. That's my son's birthday. It's a huge motivator for me. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, wow. I was like, RJ, you see that? I was like, that's pretty cool stuff. And so Jack uses meth. Jack obviously goes into IOP and then an SLE program. And so the question is, you know, who is Jack today? You kind of touched on it there, right? You make sure that you are right with all three of those things that you mentioned before you go to sleep and once you wake up. And so what is it that you do today? What is your mission? What are the things that you want to accomplish moving forward?
Okay, so I try to live in the moment. I don't try to fret on the past. I don't try to trip on the future. But what I do know that works for me is helping others, and I want to improve on that. I want to increase the way and my ability of helping others and being useful to the rest of the world. And because that helps me, there is some selfishness to that. You know, but it helps me.
I mean, that goes back to the fact that we need to rethink how we look at selfishness, right? Like, yes, we could say that it is selfish because it does affect us, but is it truly selfish? I mean,
yeah, you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, no, exactly. But when we hear selfish, like, so many people take that as a negative, but it's just like, you know, sobriety, addiction, all this that we need to take, mental health, we need to take like the negativity out of it and spotlight the positive aspects of it. And that's the same thing with selfish, I feel like. So I'm glad you said that, because talking about the stuff that we talked about before and then adding it into the stuff that we're going into now, like it's, you know, it's a balancing act. And that's what's you know, a lot of times on that spectrum that we miss, that we look for those boxes we can check, but there are no boxes.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you sharing all that, Jack. It's never easy, right, to share that in-depth of personal stories of what you battle with strangers and people on YouTube. So I'm grateful that you shared that. And kind of getting into my next question, man, is how do you stay away from it? What do you do today? What are your hobbies? What are some of the things that you have to do every single day to stay away from meth?
Okay, so today it's a lot easier. I have done immense work on myself where I almost don't even think about it. And that was from working the program. I want to mention this too. Like, a lot of people say, oh, he's an addict or he's an alcoholic. He can't be around people that are drinking. And this goes back to the spectrum of the disease, right? For me, if I'm going to someone's house, I don't expect them not to drink in front of me. The world drinks.
Yeah.
I'm the one that abused the privilege of indulging. So the rest of the world doesn't have to change for me. And I think it's my thinking that more people need to grasp that.
Yes.
You know, whereas I'm super thankful for someone that is being considerate of that. But at the same time, who am I to say, you know, like, fuck, we all go out to eat, right? I mean, it's going to be weird. You have to be able to be comfortable with that. Yeah, but there's a lot of things I do today. There's people that I can't be around, that I've had to give that tough love to and shove them out of my life. You know, and it's not necessarily just because they use or drink; it's because of the other things they do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You start to see, when you get to that point of having to reassess your inner circle, the folks who you used to spend time around, you really, with the clear mind now, you're able to see some of their manipulative tactics, right?
Yes, exactly.
Some of the things that while you were using, it was just hey, let's go have fun. And you'll be like, absolutely. But now you really can see that snake, that deception. And so today, Jack, who is it that you spend a lot of your time around? Who are the folks who reinforce your recovery?
So I'm very lucky. I live in, we rent our own place. I live with my girlfriend and her daughter, and I live with my best friend too, in recovery. So it's all four of us.
There you go.
And I am so fucking lucky because I got all kinds of support around me, 24/7, and I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed to be in that position right now. Because even my girlfriend and her daughter, they haven't fought that battle, but they're super supportive and proud of me. And then I also, like I said, I got my best friend that's in the program too, and he has a little bit more time than I do, so him and I get to keep each other on track. He'll be fucking up, and I'll be like, dude, what are you doing? I'll be fucking up. He's like, dude, what are you doing?
Have those honest conversations.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That's something that it's invaluable, as somebody who you can have those conversations with, that you can be truthful, and you don't have to worry about repercussions, right? And you don't have to worry about if you're going to say things the right way, right? And if they're going to be taken the right way, because when you say something, people aren't automatically assuming the worst of you, right? Like, that is something that I think that we don't we tend to take for granted, because sometimes some people have that and they've had it for a long time, and others don't understand what that is because they've never had it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's awesome. I'm really happy for you there. When I asked you before the show your favorite thing about yourself since sober, and you answered it here, was being useful to others and being of service. What does that look like to you? Like, let's say this week, or next week, or what does that look like to Jack?
I mean, there's so many areas where that happens. The main thing I try to do, remember when I was that guy holding a sign?
Yeah.
And there was the guy that rolled down their window and told me those things. Well, now I get to be that guy. Rolling down that window and talking to that man, telling him, hey, I was doing the same shit you're doing. I get it. Yeah, here's $5, but here's my number.
No, that's important. That's important, Jack. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is what a lot of us folks in recovery understand, right? Paying it forward, it's almost an obligation, right? It almost feels like you feel obligated to now pass on what you've learned, pass on what it is that you went through, just so other folks who are struggling with it know that there is a chance for me to get out of this. And so I'm really happy that you shared that. Really am. Because I can relate. Absolutely.
The other thing is actually being on Twitter and interacting with all these people like, yourselves and Big Kev, and reaching out to all these different audiences from different things, whether it's a giveaway community or recovery community or mental health, and helping others through that too. I know it sounds weird, but I've talked to a lot of people that are just going through shit and they're complete strangers. And I will always, if I'm not at work, I'm not doing something, I'll always, answer someone and try to best of my ability to help someone through something, whatever the fuck that is,
Yeah. Share with us what this giveaway is. What is this giveaway?
I mean, giveaway community, it's fun. It's like I stumbled upon it from actually trading stocks.
All right.
And then I kind of stumbled upon these other accounts that would do these little random giveaways. And I haven't really thought about it in a long time, but yeah, I just kind of stumbled onto you start seeing these different people that are, they do little Cash App giveaways or whatever it is. And then I started kind of I'm like, yeah, I want to fucking do that. That sounds fun, And it started just kind of mixing it up with these people that do different things and help people. And somebody will have a need and we'll all pull together and pull some money together and help that person with that thing that they're, whatever's going on, whether it's a dad's cancer or getting a single mom a fucking gift for her son, that's happening all the time. And it just, I don't know, man, I can't explain it. It's a trip. It just feels so good to be out there and mixing up with these people.
You're adding more to the repertoire, more feelings, right? You're feeling your feelings that were suppressed while you were using. That's the fun part about all of this. Sometimes it's not good, right? You have to face the music and understand that some of these feelings are raw. But yeah, it is fun. It is fun.
Since you've gotten sober, all right, what is, something that you enjoy doing that you find beauty in, that you maybe looked at before and you're like, what? That's stupid. Why would people do that? Is there anything that is like, one thing that I took for granted was bodies of water and the beauty that is around bodies of water. And I always just thought it was like, whatever, it is what it is. But now when I look at those, and it could be any body of water, but there's just so much life that happens around it that it makes things, it calms me down and it makes things kind of fall into perspective a little bit.
Okay, this is gonna sound kind of lame, but my girlfriend loves being with me because I'm so easily amused now, right? So like before, when I was out there and doing dope and shit, like I was, going to the movies and going out to eat, like that stuff's stupid. Even when I had a shit going on for me and like I don't want to do that, I want to get high and fucking play guitar or something.
Yeah.
So I am so just like amazed by going to the movies, going out to eat, and going out to comedy shows. Like doing normal fucking shit really fucking it floors me. Like I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, like it's my first time.
I mean, sometimes it is again because you don't remember your real first time, right?
Yeah. I know it kind of sounds lame, but it is like I like doing normal fucking people shit.
But I mean, that's the beauty of it that like we lost. That I think is important for people to hear is like just random stuff. Like one thing that I've kind of noticed the past few years is my taste buds have gotten sharper. So like I can pick out some different ingredients. So like I like really simple foods now, like really simple, like 3-4 ingredients, like olive oil, garlic, pepper, and noodles, and that's it, and let's go. Like that's a great meal to me. So that, when I was drinking, you know, it needed to be overpowering, it needed to be something more, but it doesn't have to anymore. And that, like that, you know, it sounds corny and it sounds like all this, like yeah, that's lame, but it's not. Like it's true. Like there's beauty in this world, and now we can appreciate it.
I'm right there with you, Jack. For me, it's grew up right. Just life was all about football, macho this, macho that, right? And now I'm painting. I like to paint, something that I just completely hated before. I didn't care about it. Not only am I painting, I go to art shows now. I'll go to a Van Gogh display and stuff like that. Again, super relatable to you, right? Some of this stuff that I used to, used to say that was boring. Now I just force myself to go, and then I always walk out or I finish the activity and I'm like, okay, I kind of pretty cool. You know, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. And so I hear you, Jack. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I hear you. So you are doing well, Jack, huh? Sounds like everything is going right for you, man, huh?
I'm blessed, man. I trip out on it.
Yeah.
Seriously, man, I got a real good life, and I can't complain, man. Even when I think I can, I can't.
Well, I mean, you know, just to kind of put a bow on the type of person you are, you know, the whole reason that I know you is because for your celebration for being 6 years sober, you looked up somebody to donate to because you wanted to donate money in celebration. You didn't want to make it about yourself. You wanted to help other people. And then you ended up finding Big Kev and Laugh for a Purpose and his baskets for a purpose. And really that's kind of led to so many opening of doors that we don't know is going to happen. But for you to be like, I'm 6 years sober, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give money away. Let's find something. Like, that's not something that people do.
Yeah.
Just giving you your flowers. I mean, you know, you deserve, you didn't just happen to this, how this life has worked out. Like, you put the work in. Whether it was the program, the sobriety, your work ethic, that company remembered you, they wanted you to come back. Like, that's you, and you deserve it. And you know what? I'm damn proud of you too. Like, congratulations.
Absolutely. Jack, if there was, with everything that you shared, you know, what is one thing you would like to leave people with here on this episode, on our YouTube channel, our audio listeners? What is one thing you'd like to leave people with?
I'd like to leave with people that if you are struggling, the best thing, and you want help, the best thing you can do is ask. Ask for help. For me, before I help someone, I don't try to strong arm and fucking make people get sober, because you can't.
Because we know that doesn't work, right?
As soon as I get a hint of somebody wants to change, I'm fucking there, man. So nobody's gonna try to fucking change your situation. If you want help, you got to ask for it.
That is exactly what it is. And I love how you said, right, as soon as you feel that they're ready, you hop on it right there, because you know that window's closing soon and very quickly. Very quickly. My goodness, Jack. Like, what part of the country are you in again?
San Jose, California.
Ooh, Cali. Cali, boy. Next time I'm out there, I'm gonna have to come visit you, man, because not only that, I'm sure that our listeners got something from you. This is very wholesome, always wholesome for us to just hear stories and listen to folks like yourself. And I'm glad RJ mentioned it too. Your hard work not only transitioned or transferred from your workplace, but also to, getting your life back. that's one hell of a story, man. One hell of a story.
Jack, if people want to keep up with you, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Jack Benjamin with a Z. And yeah.
That's so I have that linked in the show notes so people will be able to find you. Jack, this has been amazing. Like, your story is inspiring, and you really are somebody we can look to and be hopeful. And one thing that we've talked about before on the show is peer support is just as powerful as professional, and that's something, if you're struggling, you can reach out to us at Untapped Keg on all social medias. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And I think similar, if you're struggling with your mental health, reach out to Laugh for a Purpose. DMs are open. All of us, and I mean, that's something that we can give back as well, is through that. And I love it. So with that, we are Untapped Keg, a podcast about sobriety and mental health, where we spotlight stories that provide hope and love. I'm one of your hosts, RJ Zimmerman. You can find this on all podcast platforms. Find us social media. DMs are open everywhere. Untapped Keg. Monts, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at MonteBall28. Instagram Monte Ball. Obviously, our Untapped Keg pages as well. Shoot us questions, topics, people you want to see, whatever. We're going to get back to you. If you want to see Jack again, we're going to bring Jack back. RJ, where can they find you, man?
Find me on Twitter at It's Trickster, ITZ. The I is the one in Trickster. And best way to get a hold of me is through the Untapped Keg pages. Subscribe, share this episode if you've liked it. Let people know about us. We'd love to get some more eyes on. We are starting a men's group with Laugh for a Purpose called Untapped Brotherhood for a Purpose. It will be once or twice a month. You can hit Big Kev up at Laugh for a Purpose, or you can hit myself up for a Zoom link. Just gonna be a group of guys that get together on Zoom, share our feelings, let everybody know that we're there for you, and find this on YouTube. So without further ado, let's actually, I missed something that I've been meaning to bring up, and that is, hey, Bang, can we get Jack here a little sponsorship? I mean, he puts a lot of money into you. Just send him like a case, maybe two, and he really likes black cherry vanilla. Can anybody help us get Jack a couple cases of Bang? Because let me tell you, this person puts as much into the community as he takes away from it, and he deserves it. I hope somebody is listening.
I just finished the black cherry vanilla before this episode.
I told him it was ironic that he brought that up, because that's what you've been drinking. So if anybody from Bang can help us out with Jack Benjamin here, I would absolutely love it. Just the power of the internet. Really amazing person. Just celebrate his 6th year of sobriety. Help the man out. All right. Let's try to be better tomorrow than we were today, because at least if we don't make it, we tried. Have a great week, everybody. I love you.